Good morning, beloveds. So there's a lot going on right now. One, it's May 4th. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a geek. So May the 4th be with you. May the Force be with you. It's Star Wars Day. Two, I would ask your prayers for Mexico. They had a subway train, not a subway train, I guess an elevated train or a train overpass collapse, and so there's some going on there, so please treat there. And three, we've got a pretty serious storm cell coming between, it looks like between 10 and noon here in this area. In the whole south is under a pretty serious storm watch, so I would ask your treatments there, that people stay safe and that the weather does what it needs to do without damage. So, like I said, a lot going on today. But the other thing that's going on today is 365 days of richer living. So let's see what May 4th is. The title is Today as a Child I Enter into the Gladness of Living, Trusting in the Eternal Goodness. And the Bible quote is, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, and running over, shall men give into your bosom." Luke 6:38. Who would not be a child? Who would not be as a child again? Who would not again have the simple faith and childlike trust that somehow or other we seem to lose on the pathway of human experience? Things crowd in upon us until we lose one of the greatest of all gifts, the simple, spontaneous joy of living. A trust in the power of good, which alone is able, ready, and willing to meet all our needs. Let us, then, again return to the place of assurance that comes with the simplicity of faith. I now command the multitude of doubts and fears that crowd into my mind to be quiet while the divine miracle takes place in my life. I let every good I possess become multiplied as divine love acts upon my faith to bring into my experience everything necessary to my well-being. I know that this divine good includes all things that are necessary: food and shelter, love, friendship, and the accomplishment of every right purpose. And so my faith, the faith of the little child in me, rises with expectancy to meet the new day, comes in joy to accept the bounty of heaven. With the faith of a little child, I place my human hand in the invisible hand of the all-sustaining good, and I let the miracle of life and love take place. I break my bread with thanks and distribute such good as I have to everyone I meet. I say of my own household and the households of others, God bless the four corners of this house, and be the lintel blessed, and bless the bed, and bless the board, and bless each place of rest. And bless the door that opens wide to the stranger as to kin, and bless each crystal window pane that lets the sunlight in. All right. This is kind of a random ending, but it was in quotes, so that's probably a prayer written by somebody else that they, of course, don't cite their sources. So I make a look and see where that came from. I mean, it could have come from the Bible. Ernest really likes to quote the Bible, which if you have not, because Ernest doesn't cite his sources, there is a book, at least one, that goes through the Science of Mind text that gives you the source of every single quote that from the Bible that Ernest quotes in the Science of Mind text. I don't know that they've done it for any of his other works, but I know that they have for that one. It's a pretty fascinating book because he quotes the Bible a lot. And he uses quotes that nobody else does. So it's like, wait, what? That was in the Bible. Yeah, that was in the Bible. So, but bear in mind, there's like 66 books in the Bible. Some of them are long, some of them are short. Like, I think Amos is 4 pages. So, all right. Today, as a child, I enter into the gladness of living, trusting in the eternal goodness. So I find it interesting that that's our title today, when today is May 4th. And I straight up admitted that I'm a geek and that I love Star Wars. And so it's interesting that there are things, because I saw the original Star Wars in a drive-in movie theater when I was a very small child. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, because I'm not going to tell you how old I am. That's not true. I think I was like 6. I think 6. And I saw it once in a drive-in movie theater with my parents, and then I had a little friend, little boyfriend, thanks parents, and his mother and her boyfriend took me and him to see Star Wars in the movie theater. And honestly, it's the first movie I remember seeing in a movie theater. And so I remember, the stars and everything. And so it's one of those memories that's just there. And it's one of those memories that does pull me back into what it was like to be a child. The gloriousness of being a child. So I would encourage you to find something that reminds you of being that gloriousness of childhood, so that you can remember what that feels like. So when you read stuff like this, because they talk about be as a little child, and you're like, but that was so long ago, I don't remember what it was like to be a child. Well, yeah, you do. What you need is something that triggers that memory. And for me, it is Star Wars. It is absolutely Star Wars. There's something about listening to that opening musical sequence that absolutely reminds me of the glory and the joy of when everything is fresh and new and exciting and possible. And that's one of the things about being children, is because children don't know what's not possible. So they're more willing to try everything. And that's the beauty of being a child. And that's one of the reasons why I think the great religious teachers like to talk about being a child. Because in God, anything is possible. But frequently as adults, we've bumped into the walls enough times that we're like, well, not everything's possible. But children don't know that. And that's the energy that we're after when we are coming to the good. When they talk about the faith of children, children don't know that it's not possible. And that's the gift of being a child. And that's the illusion that we lose in adulthood. It's like we forget. So it's like, go back and find that one thing in your life that triggers that joy, that amazing, that brings you back to that awe of possibility of childhood. And then do this work. So today, as a child, I turn into the gladness of living, trusting in the eternal goodness. Star Wars does it for me every time. And actually, I know, give and it shall be given unto you, but I've not heard the rest of this quote. Good measure, pressed down and running over, shall men give unto your bosom. What? Every now and again, you're just like, what? But it's from Luke, and it's often used to tell us, if you want friendship, be a friend. If you want love, give love. So whatever it is that you are seeking, you have to be willing to give it to get it. So if you want love, you got to be willing to give love. If you want a friend, then you got to be willing to give friendship. You can't just get without giving. It's not the way this works. There's this term called reciprocity, which as an anthropologist, I'm very familiar with it. It was a major underpinning of early society is reciprocity. Okay, who would not be as a child again? Do I want to go back to being a child? No, but there are things of being a child that occasionally I want to yank those forward. I want to yank those forward. It's like that awe, that possibility, that amazement of seeing everything fresh and new. Who would not again have the simple faith and childlike trust that somehow or other we seem to lose on the pathway of human experience? Things crowd in upon us until we lose one of the greatest of all gifts, the simple, spontaneous joy of living, and a trust in the power of good which alone is able, ready, and willing to meet all our needs. Okay, so the simple, spontaneous joy of living. You're going to meet people who have that all the time. And it is childlike behavior, and it's wonderful. And there's a difference between childlike and childish, because childish can be selfish, but childlike, that childlike wonder, when you walk into a new place and you meet new people and your eyes are aglow and you're like, oh, this is so exciting. I like to think that most of the time that's the way I am. And then there are times that I'm not, but I get it. So that simple, spontaneous joy of living. Go out and look for things to be amazed about. Things that are beautiful. Springtime's a great time to do that. Springtime's an absolute great time to do that. And the trust in the power of good, which alone is able, ready, and willing to meet all our needs. So that one, I think what the problem is people are human, and we fail each other, and so if we have bumped into that enough, then we forget to trust. And we stop trusting the one thing that has never failed us, or the one that has never failed us, because God, Spirit, whatever word you want to use, has never failed us. People have. And we get to the point, if we bumped into enough of those kind of people, that we're no longer willing to trust Spirit anymore. And I get it. And it's hard. And sometimes we just have to look at all of the people that have failed us, including ourselves, and say, I'm going to start anew. I'm going to forgive the people, including myself, who have failed me in whatever way that they have failed me. And I'm going to turn back like a child and put my hand back into the hand of Spirit. In whatever way Spirit shows up. In that good. I'm going to put my hand back in that. And trust that it is willing, ready, and able to meet those needs. And then I have to give up the how it meets those needs. And that, I think, is the beautiful thing about children. Children come with requests, but they don't come with the how. They don't tell you how they want things. They just say, this is what I want. And then you, as an adult, get to figure out how to give it to them. Well, that's the relationship that you can have with Spirit. You tell Spirit what you want. As long as you're within the rules of Spirit, you are following the law and the qualities of God. You tell Spirit what you want, and then you give up the how. You absolutely give up the how, and then you let Spirit figure the how out. That's part of being like a child. Letting go of the how. Because as adults, we want to control every aspect of how things happen around us. And we limit ourselves when we do that. We absolutely limit ourselves when we do that. So, I now command the multitude of doubts and fears that crowd into my mind to be quiet while the divine miracle takes place in my life. So, the multitude of doubts and fears that I have learned over my life, I'm telling them to shut them up. It's like, we're done. I'm not listening to you anymore. I am trusting this miracle that has been with me my entire life. I just quit listening. I'm going to start listening to that again. I'm not listening to the doubts and the fears anymore. I let every good I possess become multiplied as divine love acts upon my faith to bring into my experience everything necessary for my well-being. Because I'm becoming as a child and I'm letting go of the how. I'm focusing on the good. And what I focus on multiplies. So all of the good that you have, when you focus on the good multiplies. And you just let go of the how. Spirit's got that. Trust. Put your hand in the hand of the divine, and the divine will hold you. Because the divine's been holding you anyway. The question is, have you been conscious of it? So we go back to the drumbeat of consciousness. I know that this divine good includes all things that are necessary: food, shelter, love, friendship, and the accomplishment of every right purpose. So it's going to meet my basic needs as well as the divine needs. So the food and shelter is basic needs. That I'm going to be guided into ways to meet those needs. It's going to meet the middle needs of love and friendship, because I'm going to continue to meet God in everyone, which opens me up to more love and friendship. And then it's also going to meet that divine need of the accomplishment of every right purpose. So the things that I am here to do, I have the power to do because I'm focused on the good and I trust. I'm willing to open myself up and let go of the how. Because the how is how we limit ourselves. And so my faith, and the faith of the little child in me, rises with expectancy to meet the new day, comes in joy to accept the bounty of heaven. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage you to find that thing that reminds you of the awe and joy of being a child. Because you're like, well, wait, what does that feel like? Okay, for me, probably what I could do is go get the original soundtrack of Star Wars and put that opening, from the opening crawl, put that sound on my phone. If I made that my ringtone, I'd probably answer the phone a lot more, because it pulls me back into that moment of joy as a child. And I remember what it feels like. And when I remember what it feels like, then I can bring it into the rest of my day. I can bring it into my spiritual work, and I can bring it into my mundane everyday work. So find that thing that triggers that awe and joy of being a child. So with the faith of a little child, I place my human hand in the invisible hand of the all-sustaining good, and I let the miracle of life and love take place. I don't have to force anything. I don't have to do anything. I just have to experience it. I just get to experience it. I break my bread I break my bread with thanks and distribute such good as I have to everyone. Let me share what I have, because as I share my good is multiplied. I say of my own household and the households of others, and here's where the quotes start. God bless the four corners of this house, and be the lintel blessed, and bless the bed, and bless the board, and bless each place of rest, and bless the door that opens wide to stranger as to kin, and bless each crystal window pane that lets the sunlight in. Close quotes. If I was going to do a house blessing, that is exactly how I would do it. That is exactly how I would do a house blessing. So I'm going to actually mark that page. Take that. Well, I'm also going to find the source of it so that I can give the appropriate source for it. So, our mission today is an amazing one. It's an amazing one. To be as a little child again with the awe and amazement for life around us. And that's the mission today. So I would encourage you to go and find something from your childhood. Find yourself, and I'm going to use the word trigger because we use trigger to as that negative connotation. It's like it triggers you in a bad way. But what about the things that trigger you in a good way? So go and find your trigger, whatever it is, that triggers that joy of childhood, that trust, that faith, that moment in your childhood when everything was possible. Find that and give that a place in your life and give that a place in your spiritual practice and see how it changes. To remember that time when all things were possible and pull that forward into your life now. All right, beloveds, this geek has got stuff to do, so she's going to move on into the process of her day. But I am going to encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like today. And if that means going and playing with your Star Wars toys, then do that. I say loving, kind, and compassionate, and sometimes you kind of get caught up in the, spot. No, sometimes it means go have fun. Go have fun. Go enjoy Star Wars Day or whatever. Whatever. I know not everybody is a Star Wars fan. I just happen to be a huge Star Wars fan. So do something loving, kind, and compassionate. Whatever that looks like to you. All right? You are a beloved child of God with whom God is well pleased, always and forever. That is the state of grace that we live in. All right? I would encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body today, but if you're in my area, maybe not between 10 and 12 when the weather could be a little. So do stay safe, but drink plenty of water. Get some fresh air. Open your windows. If the storm comes through and you can open your windows and enjoy the rain, please do that. Please do that. That's a wonderful way to do it. There's nothing quite like the smell of rain. That's a child thing. Childlike wonder of storms. Ooh. Yeah. Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you do live in heaven now. It is a conscious awareness on our part to see heaven around us now. All right? Conscious awareness. The more you look, the more you see, the more you see, the more there is. And that's how we make a world that works for everybody. All right, beloveds. Happy Star Wars Day. May the Force be with you. I will see you tomorrow. Today is, if you happen to see this on May 4th, you can still join Heartfelt Living. It starts at 7 tonight. If you're interested in that, email info@creativelife.org soon. And if you see this tomorrow, well, there'll be another one around some other time. I'm actually teaching it this time with practitioner Danielle, and she's an amazing partner. It's going to be a great class. All right, beloveds, I need to stop talking. Y'all have a wonderful day and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. All right?